Hey YouTube, this is Perry with BouncerTips, the channel that gives you tips and tricks to help you become a better bouncer. In today's video, we're going to talk about the ID process and how to help you find some fake IDs. Coming up. In the nightclub industry, one of the most important bouncer roles is that of the doorman. The doorman's job is to be the ambassador of the establishment, as well as make sure that he vets every person that comes through the door, making sure they're who they are and they're the age that they're supposed to be. We'll talk a little bit about the process in just a sec. The primary job of the doorman is to be that of the club ambassador. You need to smile, you need to be friendly, and most importantly, you need to be welcoming into the establishment. After welcoming the guests, the most important thing is establishing a process that you will use every single time you check somebody's ID. The first step in that process is getting that ID in your hand. Once you have that ID in your hand, that's the only way you can really identify whether it is a legitimate document or something else. Keeping it in the wallet or keeping it in their purse and having them flip it out to you is just not acceptable. You need to have the physical document in your hand. Once you have the ID in hand, it's very important that you get yourself into some good lighting. Most of the time, nightclubs don't have great lighting. Sometimes it's only the marquee outside. So it's important that you provide your own lighting by getting yourself a good quality flashlight. One that's reliable, batteries are good, and one that can get you through a whole night. Once you've gotten your proper lighting, the next thing to do is start your process. And the process I always start with is making sure I square up with the guest. I square up with the guest to make sure that I'm facing them front and back to make sure that I'm looking at them the same way that their picture is on the ID. I want to make sure that I'm looking at them straight forward so I can catch all the little details that are on the ID as well as on their face. The next thing I'm doing before I even look at the ID is I'm actually looking at the facial structure of the person's face. I'm looking at the eyes, I'm looking at the nose, I'm looking at the distance, I'm looking at their teeth. Anything that I can look at to make sure that I've got that person's face kind of in my mind what I need to look for. Then I start looking at the ID. The first thing I do on the looking at the ID is not look at the picture. I don't care about the picture at first. The first thing I look at is the expiration date. If I look at that expiration date and that ID is expired, we can't really go any further. By most state laws, if you don't have a valid ID, there's no entry to a club. After I've checked the expiration date, the next thing I do is I check to see if there's any damage to the ID itself, such as whether it's been hole punched or clipped. A lot of the states that are out there will actually clip or put a hole punch when you get a secondary license. And this is a key that you can kind of key on if maybe somebody passed their ID along to somebody else. So if it's got some physical damage to it, make sure you keep note of it. Doesn't always mean it's not legit, just means that there's some physical damage and you should probably be aware of what's going on with it. After confirming that there's no damage on the ID, the next step is to finally start looking at that age. The age on the ID obviously needs to be 21 years old. If they're not 21, there's no entry. I personally don't work the door every day. I've got other responsibility. So what I have to do when I'm working a door is I have to actually go through my process of getting ready to work the door. And how I do that is I usually write down today's date on a piece of paper, and I will also write down the date 21 years ago to make sure that I have those 2 years in my head. It should be easy for you to figure out, but sometimes under pressure, when you've got a big line and something you've seen ID after ID after ID, you'll see a date that comes up and your mind just won't be able to register whether it's over or under. So it's important that you work yourself and get your mind right and program it in to make sure you have today's date and that date of birth 21 years from today's date. Now that I've verified they are 21 years of age, the next thing I'm going to do is look at their OVDs. You're probably asking, what the heck is that? Well, it's very simple. Each ID has a series of little details or optical varied devices. Each state has their own optical varied device embedded inside of an ID. So you as a doorman or police, law enforcement, anybody can look at an ID and verify whether it's legitimate or a forgery. Now each state uses different OVDs, and it's important that you start learning some of the features. There is a booklet out there that a lot of the liquor vendors can get you talk to your managers. They usually can get you a book that will go through each year's IDs. It will have a picture of every ID that was issued in the state, and will go through some of the basic features to help you determine whether that's a legitimate ID or not. Now, it doesn't tell you everything that's on an ID, but it is a good base of knowledge so you can make yourself more efficient as a doorman. Now, after I've verified OVDs, I've checked the expiration date, I've verified they're 21, and I've looked at all their facial features, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the ID and I'm going to bend it like Beckham. And the reason I do that is I'm going to make sure that the laminate on the front of the ID doesn't peel off. Most of the fake IDs that are out there today don't use quality laminate, and they are only put on there with a sticker, and that sticker peels when you bend the ID. The IDs are made out of a plastic which are designed to bend. So if they bend and the sticker starts peeling off, that's an indication that you may be dealing with a fake ID. Now, if you see an ID that peels, most likely it's coming from one of these states. You're going to find that they're either from Illinois, Florida, Ohio, Connecticut, Maryland, Pennsylvania, or South Carolina. And the reason being is that the manufacturers of these fake IDs, usually based in China, have those IDs down, and they are the most common in the marketplace right now. Doesn't mean that every state doesn't have fake IDs. In fact, most do. However, those are the most common and most popular that are out there. Again, that's Illinois, Florida, Ohio, Connecticut, Maryland, and South Carolina. If you find one of those IDs, do that bend test. 90% of the time you will find whether that's a real or fake ID. I hope you found this information helpful. I know I enjoyed giving some of the knowledge that I've picked up over the years. In the comments section, if you would, let me know if you've ever used a fake ID. I'd be curious to find out how many people have. Again, follow me on Twitter. Thanks for watching, and you've just been taken beyond the ropes. Have a good day.